Welcome back to Studio F, where on Fast Times Willy B, we'll be reviewing the Wolfman 2010 as we prepare for Wolfman. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Try to do this quietly. Russell!
Welcome back to Fast Times Willy B. I'm Willy B. I've got Kory with me. Kory, how we doing?
I'm feeling like a man who might turn into a wolf, which is good. I can never just answer that question. I'm sorry. I'm feeling good. How are you feeling?
You're feeling good. I'm doing good as well.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
We're continuing our adventure down through the Wolfman movies. This is our last stop until we get to the new release. And we've got the 2010 rendition of The Wolfman, directed by Joe Johnston, which we both know and love for other movies.
We do.
I'm obviously fond of him through Jurassic Park 3.
Sure.
I know you love Captain America the First Avenger a little more than I do.
I love that movie more than most people do.
Yeah. But nonetheless, that's not it either. I mean, he's got Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
The one he directed.
Oh my God, he did that movie?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That was live on camera, folks.
So, yeah, a little resume.
Interesting. Yeah, he's got a resume. The Rocketeer, a movie I've seen a decent amount of.
Yeah.
And I remember
and
it being
then we've
fun.
got The Wolfman 2010 just thrown in there.
Woo, It's definitely his most different,
obscure
part of his filmography. I guess except Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But
it's kind of all over the place because then Jurassic Park 3 is like just adventure horror, I guess. And then...
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe Honey, I Shrunk the Kid, because at least there's a little bit of horror in Jurassic Park. Didn't you say that one has a lot of great, iconic moments in it or whatever? Or is that from 2?
I mean, I think the first 3 Jurassic Parks are all pretty great.
All right.
I'm a
Fair
little
enough.
biased, but nonetheless,
Fair enough.
Stars of the movie, we've got some pretty big names in this movie. We've got Benicio del Toro, we've got Anthony Hopkins, we've got Emily Blunt, and one of her earlier roles, I guess I've seen her in.
Definitely one of the earlier roles I've seen her in, for sure.
And then Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving, the man.
Had a busy couple of years with Joe Johnston.
And John Hurt for a scene.
Yeah, for one scene. Let the record be shown. We did watch the unrated version of this, which was both our first watch, and we kind of had a debate. The unrated version is more highly regarded. It is 17 minutes longer, so we got a little more substance to work with, but we just thought, let's go with the one that might be better.
I mean, here at Fast Times with Willy B, we go all the way.
So we're gonna talk the unrated cut here today. Although it sounds like we can kind of figure out what the theatrical cut is based on looking up what was added after we watched this movie.
I mean, I can piece it together after reading what you read.
Yeah. But we'll start with the good, and I think we can both agree, through like the first 30 minutes, we didn't know how much good we would have.
Oh, man. That first 30 minutes, I was like,
yeah,
I'm going to check my notifications.
Yeah. But there was some good, and we're going to talk about it here.
Sure, absolutely.
I liked just about every scene the Wolfman was in.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think there are any scenes I didn't like with him in it.
Yeah.
Even the opening stuff where it's the Anthony Hopkins one.
Yeah. I looked over at Kory in the first act. I'm like, yeah, remember when I said I could have used more in 1941? Now, I said more wolf. I might take that back. But then as we started watching the wolf stuff, I was like, no, I wasn't. I was right.
You're right about that.
Getting more wolf was fun. So we get 3 full moons.
3
in
pretty
movie.
Major. Yeah.
With the first one being where he figures out and stuff with his dad. The second one being where he breaks out of the jail, and the third one being the final showdown.
Oh man!
And all of which, I mean, the 3 best scenes of the movie.
By far. I personally, I think the final showdown one is I don't want to say the worst. I'd say the least best, just because it stays in one location. Those first 2 Wolfman scenes are actually pretty terrific.
We technically get 4 if you count the Wolfman scene at like the little camp where he gets turned into where he gets bit.
Oh yeah, I guess I didn't think about it. I'm like,
but I mean, if you're including that, I guess that's probably the weakest one.
Yeah, that's definitely the weakest.
You do get a call.
Even then, it was pretty cool. Two claws.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was cool.
But yeah, I mean, the first one, we can kind of break these down. I mean, that first one where you kind of you find out that Anthony Hopkins is the main wolf. But
what a wild I mean, like I said, me and you both were kind of sleepwalking our way through the movie a little bit, but especially the part where he shuts the gate and he's like, the beast must have its day or whatever, and you see the eyes glimmer. I'm like, sitting up a little bit.
Yeah,
all right, where are we going?
This is where the movie starts.
But I was like, and the movie starts now.
And then obviously Del Toro, he wolves out, or Larry Talbot, I should say, or he goes more by Lawrence in this movie.
Lawrence.
I feel like they say,
I don't know if they ever say.
Did they ever
Larry.
call him Larry?
I don't think so.
So we'll say Lawrence Talbot just to be safe. But
but all the other names are the same. Gwen.
Yeah, but he wolves out and he just mows through this group of hunters. And it's graphic. I mean, we knew we were going to get that with the unrated cut. But it was intense. It was cool. Honestly, when he wakes up and you see like the aftermath of him back,
I liked that too.
I thought that was like my favorite part of that.
When he comes out of the tree trunk and he's like, "What the hell was that?"
Yeah, like he just had a bad hangover.
That's a great. I also do like. I think usually whenever it comes to like Wolfman-y stuff, I like it better when they don't wake up and they go, "What am I doing here? What am I?" I like it better when they wake up and they're like, they know what they did, but they're just like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah.
He just looked like a mess coming out of the tree trunk.
And that's when he gets like immediately intercepted by this group of scientists. And then, he gets tortured a little bit. We'll talk about that scene later. But the scene we get of him like telling them like, kill me because I'm going to kill you all. And then he wolves out. Great transformation in that scene. I mean, not perfect CGI, which we'll get into that as well.
Yeah.
But cool transformation, cool scene. The way he kills the main scientist is awesome. Yeah. And then you get to jump through the window. You get great shot. You get running on the roof.
I love that shot where he jumped out of the window and he was sitting on the windowsill.
Yeah.
That was like, that's pretty fucking cool, man.
And then when he gets into like the main part of town in London there.
Oh, he's wrecking shop, man. And turning over vehicles and shit.
Yeah, he like just goes through those people in the like little bus thing.
I don't know why I didn't, because usually you expect like if they're hunters or if they're, people that did him harm or like you're just kind of in his area, whatever. You expect that kind of thing. But I guess it kind of caught me by surprise that he's just like, he jumps downtown. He's like, fuck it. All of you are gone.
Yeah.
Like that's
showing
wrecking
the
shop.
Beast in this man, So I thought that was really cool.
It definitely also, I feel more validates kind of this like devil man persona or whatever. Because in the first one, it's like you get a couple people that die, whatever. Not that isn't a big deal, but this one you really get like, oh man, this is a monster.
Yeah. Unrated cut was definitely the route to go because I heard that wolf scene was extended and the transformation was extended.
I tell you what, man, cut a bunch of that first act. This is jumping up like a level for me.
Yeah, that's fair. And then the third one, I mean, we get a wolf versus wolf battle.
You can't have a bad time.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Anthony Hopkins versus Del Toro.
I did like that it was like a burning house setting. That's cool. Burning mansion kind of thing.
Yeah. And and then obviously it gets taken out of the mansion when it's him chasing down Gwen. And I pointed out I loved that waterfall setting that they met at earlier in the movie, and that's where the movie concludes. So I thought that was just kind of poetry. Like, this wasn't a great movie by any means, and but
just don't turn it off now and think that we're giving it 10 out of 10.
I had a good time, and I liked the ending.
I did too, and I liked the locations for the most part. There was a couple I didn't love, but like I loved all the asylum stuff. The place you're talking about, the waterfall ending area. There's like the Romani people kind of area.
Yeah.
Like a lot of those locations, the underground mansion stuff, I actually thought was pretty sick.
Yeah.
And the mansion itself, I think, was also a very good location.
Yeah.
What happened to Singh?
I don't know.
Did he kill him?
I don't know. Did we miss that?
Probably.
Or did he just go away? Like, did he leave?
I don't know.
It's a good question. We'll have to go back and check. But
I'll look it up. I ain't going back.
Singh was a weird character. I felt like
he not enough screen time, but also too much screen time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was weird. But no, like, wrapping up on the werewolf scenes, I guess, all three of them were the best part of the movie.
And great design.
Genuinely. Yeah, I mean, I like the look of the werewolf. I always talked about how 1941 still holds up for me, and it's one of my favorite looks. you can see a lot of inspiration from that look. There's no long snout. It is Wolfman standing on the tippy toes with the fur bursting out of the clothes they're wearing the night they transform. It's very reminiscent to that 1941 George Wagner look we get, and I think that's why it worked for me in this one as well.
You know, I find it interesting. It just hit me. This movie takes place before that one does.
Does it?
If you think about it, because that one takes place in the 40s. This is like
that one is
the era of like
that is there is no time stamp on it. Yeah.
And it only just hit me like this is like Jack the Ripper England industrial
1891. They flashed up the year at the beginning of the movie. I think it was 90 or 91.
So it was good like almost
1800s.
50 or about 50 years prior. Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah.
That the reboot goes further back in time.
Yeah, I like that the cane in this movie is silver.
Yeah, you like that you could see that it's silver.
No.
I guess we don't have any proof that one wasn't silver.
It could have been gold.
It could have been.
I just love going back to that as a kid. I was like, a gold cane.
Gold cane.
Never thinking that like would not work with how that movie plays out.
What kills werewolves? Silver bullets, gold canes.
Yeah. Papa had a bunch of them in his house. I was ready.
Bronze hammers as well.
Yeah. But no, the werewolf stuff was fun.
Yeah.
What else you got in the good?
I'm going to throw some acting stuff in there. I think this is
that,
genuinely one of my... It's definitely not my favorite Emily Blunt performance. But, like, it's up there. I actually think she's very good in the movie.
Because this was definitely before I would say she was
it was definitely before she was a star.
Yeah, it was... Yeah. Definitely before she was a star. I think as Del Toro's performance went on, I liked it more and more.
So did I. Once he got to the asylum stuff, when he became Wolfman and stuff, for some reason his performance got way better.
Yeah.
First act, no offense, I kind of thought he was butt cheeks.
Yeah.
I really, like, the scene where he's in the bar, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, man, but I ain't fucking feeling any of this.
Yeah.
And then it's weird. He was a weirdo at the beginning of the movie, and then he just turns into a normal person after he becomes a man-wolf. I don't know why they chose for him to be like that. That was weird.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely got better as the movie went on. Hopkins, I mean, he
does his thing every time.
You can tell that this, like, he didn't put what he could do into it, but it still was good.
It's still good.
Yeah, it's still Hopkins. Like,
I think Hugo Weaving was pretty kind of same thing with Hopkins.
I'd say him and Blunt were the standouts.
I think he puts in. Yeah, absolutely. I think Hugo Weaving puts in more of a performance than Hopkins, but still not as much as he could have. But he doesn't need to.
Yeah,
but I thought he was pretty good in it.
I mean, those were definitely the four biggest, roles we get, and I think they all did a good job. I don't think any of the acting was what hurt this movie for me.
No. The complaints aren't in the acting.
Yeah, there were some shots I liked.
Yeah, I agree. Same.
Some I didn't.
Yeah, there's some musical stuff that I liked. Here and there too.
There was
score. It was Danny Elfman. I looked it up and I was like, oh, it's Danny Elfman.
No, that makes sense. Yeah. I can hear it now.
He didn't go as rambunctious and weird as he usually does.
Sure.
This was a tamer one, which I appreciate a tamer one.
Yeah, I liked. There was a shot we got again of while he's wolfed up, and it was very reminiscent to. Mm-hmm. It was while they were having their final fight scene in the mansion while it was on fire. After he threw his dad in the fire, there's like a scene where it looked like that shot where he peeks around the tree in 1941.
Had to be intentional because I thought of it. You brought it up. And you're like, that looked like that, and then I was like, are you talking about this, and that? Like I saw it too.
Yeah.
It was probably intentional. I mean,
yeah. So I liked that.
I did like that they didn't adhere super, super closely to... Because what I heard was that this was a 1-to-1 to the old movie. Thank God it wasn't.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't.
Yeah. It is a lot more different than what I thought
I heard that too. I heard a lot of people say it's like 1-to-1 to the original. I'm like, when in the original did we get wolf-on-wolf action? I
mean, story beats aren't even the same. Yeah, that's... Yeah, yeah, it's completely different.
Yeah.
For the most part.
And...
I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah. So I did like that. I did like the setting. I think that setting and time period is a good idea for a Wolfman story.
I like how the castle is like separated from the town by the woods. Mm-hmm. So like...
Very Bruce Wayne-esque. I know I said it reminded me of the Batman Begins mansion a lot. It wasn't. But it is very reminiscent of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I do have a question, though. Yeah, just having to do with, like, you know how he's in the shop with Gwen? Mm-hmm. And I guess, did he just stay there for a month and then he went to his dad's to kill his dad? Because he broke out of the asylum, landed in that shop. Mm-hmm. He must have stayed in that shop for a month.
He had to have, because we did look it up, because...
Or a week.
We did look it up. Kory had a little confusion on how the phases of moons work.
Look, I'll say it. I'm not an idiot. Everyone makes mistakes. I thought full moons came once a week.
I told him, I was like, this movie's like 4 months long. And he was like, you mean 4 weeks? And I'm like, no. And I looked it up. On average, 29.5 days, full moons.
Just don't pay that much attention.
No, I mean, that would make sense, because it's what Hugo Weaving's character, he comes in and then shoots the mirror, thinking that he's still there.
Behind it, yeah.
So I'm guessing he probably just hid out for a month, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Interesting.
A very frequented shop, apparently.
Apparently. So they say.
Yeah.
As far as the good goes, I don't know if I have much else.
Yeah, I think that's about all I've got. So we can hop over to the meh. A lot of my gripes are probably more in the bad, I guess.
You know what? I'll say this for the good. Sorry. Before we move on. There's some good lighting stuff here and there. There's some like pretty standout stuff. And then I also say like the color grading was pretty good at times.
Yeah. Yeah. Meh. What do you have in the meh? Because I have a lot. I feel like some of the things I want to say are more in the bad than the meh.
That's how I feel too. In the meh specifically, I would say I don't know. It might be more bad, to be honest.
I got something for the meh.
Okay.
I wish we got a little more payoff in the Kane interaction.
I would agree with that. I think
I'm glad they added the scene in the unrated cut.
Yeah.
But...
was it necessary? I don't know. I liked that scene.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was necessary. But also, I feel like with having that scene at the beginning and that being the ultimate demise of the one, is either in there too much or not enough. I can't really tell.
Yeah. The two scenes that...
I think I could have used more of it.
The two scenes added to the unrated cut, from what I read, that didn't add too much for me were definitely that one and...
The theater scene.
The theater scene.
Yeah, that scene in particular, I kind of didn't like.
Yeah. Well, that falls in the first act, which we'll probably get into in the bad. But, not that, again, I agree with you. Not that I didn't like the Kane scene. It's just like, it wasn't enough for me. I might have agreed with the theatrical cut, cutting it out, because it just wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah, right.
I feel like it definitely had more of an impact in 1941.
I agree. Yeah, but I would say I would put the relationship between Gwen and Lawrence in the meh.
Okay.
Only because I think it's in the original. It's not as creepy in the original because it's not your dead brother's like ex-fiance.
Yeah, that's creepy because Lon Chaney's like, "I'll take you out Sunday, whether you like it or not."
Yeah,
but
God damn it, can we have a regular fucking relationship in it? Jesus. Yeah, you're right.
I mean,
it's kind of just creepy that he's like dreaming about her and shit, and then when they do kiss, I'm like, I don't know about that.
His defense...
I like it and I don't like it at the same time.
I can get where you're coming from 100%. In his defense, him being in America this whole time, like, she could have just walked into that room and he was like, love at first sight, not knowing the context. Sometimes it's hard to push those feelings away.
Sure. I'm not against a man for having feelings. I think she's more in the
wrong, knowing that that's her dead husband's... Or dead husband's brother.
She did move on mighty quick.
Yeah.
Because that was like only a month after.
I mean, if Emily Blunt came walking into my changing room after I played in a play and she looked, she was good looking. Mm-hmm. She's a looker. And I'm Benicio del Toro. I'm like, wow. And then...
You could probably just be Will in this situation, but fair.
Why can't I be Benicio del Toro?
I don't know, man. I guess I should put his performance in the meh because it's really good at times and kind of bad at other times.
That's fair. No. Emily Blunt was great, though. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the relationship has its moments. I definitely agree. It's definitely more on her, I guess, if I had to gripe with the situation.
Your ex-dead brother, that's still pretty tough.
Yeah.
It's all pretty weird. It's weird.
Yeah. But we can hop over to the bad, unless you got something else for me.
Yeah, I was just going to say Sing, I guess, because what happened to that?
Yeah.
Unless it was there and I wasn't paying attention. And also, I liked his character, but he was either in it too much or not.
What happened to him, and I didn't look down at my phone, especially I looked at my phone a few times, I'll admit, in the first act.
Also did I.
But once the wolf out started, I didn't look away, and I'm drawn. And we just watched it minutes ago.
I know. Yeah,
I didn't really so I'm starting to think, like, maybe we didn't get payoff on him.
I mean, it happens in movies all the time.
Yeah.
It's something... big complaint I have with a lot of movies.
Like, the last scene I remember is him looking out the movie. Or looking out the window.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last shot I remember of him.
I don't remember what happens after that.
But we can hop over to the bad first act.
Yeah, first act is just... I'm not even... It's straight up bad.
Yeah, it's just... It's... I don't know. It doesn't really do much for the story until we get to the... I mean, it obviously sets up the brother's death, and that's how Gwen meets Lawrence, and then from there, it's just like he goes to a tavern where people are shit-talking his mom. We find out a little bit of his mom was killed, but we don't know how.
They should have moved that along. I think that first bar scene, I think they needed to cut that.
Yeah, the first bar scene was weird. Some of the dream sequences were just a little...
And it wasn't even had
peculiar.
to do with, like, it wasn't even like, oh, your mom killed herself. And he was like, my mom didn't kill herself. She was murdered by somebody. They were like, your mom was a whore. And he's like, she was not a whore.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything? What the fuck what are you talking about?
I didn't like the bar scene. I liked the tavern, like the way it looked, but I didn't like the scene.
I liked the tavern scene when Hugo Weaving was in there. It was like, I'll take a pint of bitter or whatever.
Yeah. And he's talking about how they're within 500 or 50 yards or 500 yards of
most of the town's population.
Yeah.
I liked all that.
Yeah.
Dropping some facts on him, Hugo.
That was cool. Other scene in that first act, like I said, the dream sequences, because like when has the dream where he's like, or not the dream, but the vision, because I guess he is awake, where he's walking past the water where he discovers his mom's death. Like the shot could have been so cool in my opinion, but like the shadow in the water didn't line up with the boy, and then the boy like has like a
double,
like a ghostly double coming out. I just didn't know what was going on.
I honestly couldn't tell if that was supposed to be him or the brother. That was a ghost.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, all that didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, it lost me a little bit there.
So yeah, that was.
And it just felt long. Like
it did feel.
This was the unrated cut was an hour 59. Well, it was close probably to an hour 52 if you cut out credits, but which we watched the credits. But the first 30 minutes felt like an hour, and the last hour and a half felt like 30 minutes.
100% pacing.
Once the werewolf starts, the movie moves along.
The first act, I'm like, dude. I even started laughing at one point because I was like, what the fuck is the pacing of this?
Yeah, we were 30 minutes and you're like, dude,
weird.
We should have done the theatrical cut. And then it got a lot better and you're like, thank God we didn't. Like,
dude, was I or was I not laughing multiple times in the first act? Yeah. I was like, this is weird. Another thing I'm going to put in the bad, Benicio del Toro's wig is fucking hilariously bad in this. Yeah. That's a weird wig. It grew on me to the point where I was okay with it by the end. But if I think about it for even a second, I'm like, ooh, that looks stupid. Yeah.
I have a bad, but I'm going to start it off with a good. So a little backtrack. Makeup and hair... Well, not all hairstyling. Makeup was great.
Yeah.
CGI was rough.
CGI was bad.
Yeah.
Improvement on CGI, there would have been a lot more Letterboxd posters to choose from. We'll say that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Especially that scene where he escapes in London. I was loving every second of that. And he gets on the angel gargoyle on the corner. I was like, that is badass. And then it cuts to him and the skies in the background. I'm like, that is pretty fucking bad looking. Yeah. That looks terrible.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad CGI shots. When it's practical, this movie looks good.
Oh my god, the practical effects are incredible.
Like when we get the final showdown and like it pans out, it looks like Anthony Hopkins is a wolf. Like
that. I thought so too. Watching that, I was like, dude, that looks like Anthony Hopkins in there.
So I'm not gonna say effects are bad because when it's practical, dude, the effects were pretty good.
Are very good. The special effects were terrible.
Yeah, when it goes CG, when it's computer generated, it's
good grief.
Pretty rough.
Some pretty rough rotoscoping stuff in there with thrown on Wolfman hair and that's not an easy thing to do by any chance. But I mean, wow,
Yeah. I mean, this was a year after Avatar, which was obviously like a CGI spectacle.
Holy shit! Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
It also had $100 million more. But I still think with what you said, 157 or something like $150 million. I feel like a little better should have been done.
Oh, absolutely!
Because that's a mega budget, especially for a horror film.
I mean, that's the budget Christopher Nolan had with these Batman movies, and I don't know if there's any bad CGI in those movies, quite frankly.
This, honestly, the CGI reminded me of Alien 3. It was if the CGI was better, this movie would be like...
my God.
I would really like
That'd
this
be
movie.
a top tier Alien.
Yeah, because like Alien 3 is like a decent... It's on the brink of being like a 7 out of 10 for me some days. Depending on the day, I might give it a 7. If it had great CGI, I'm putting it in the 8s. Like, this is another one where, I mean, you'll see my score in a second, but if you're talking about good CGI and making this movie just look better as a whole, it's a different conversation
That's going up a point for me.
Yeah. Because there was moments where I'm like, oh, like you said, this is cool, and then like just a bad shot would
just take you out.
Would just take you out. Yeah, it would kind of like...
It wouldn't be like, I'm going to throw up, but it'd be like, oh, you almost had it. It seems like the kind of thing where if they maybe moved the movie back like 6 months, they probably could have gotten that stuff pretty tight.
Yeah.
Another thing of the bad for me, I would say, is there's a lot of weird, like, I think all the transformation stuff is cool, but there are random moments where, like, they're editing things. Well, there's just going to be editing altogether. Yeah. Especially Benicio del Toro, whenever he's doing a lot of, like, snapping his head around. At times they do it, and I'm like, that looks weird and stupid.
Yeah. I know you didn't like it when it was there at the end. Yeah. When he's over top Gwen.
I laughed at that. And then whenever they were doing it, I remember in the asylum when he was breaking out of that, like that stuff was really cool for me. And then again, it turned stupid for a second. I was like, oh,
yeah,
almost.
Yeah, I like the transformations for a whole, but I definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah, as a whole, the transitions in this movie were so fucking weird.
Yeah.
And bad at times. Okay. Really bad.
Oh, transitions, like, yeah.
Yeah, scene to scene. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, woof.
Yeah, like, the end of the second werewolf, like, when he breaks out the end of that scene, it, like, kind of does, like, a fade swipe, and I'm like, what are we doing here?
Did some of that.
Did you make this in cap cut? Because that's what I put on my sliders.
Oh, like, my God, yeah. Or they do some, like, you know, like, the closing your eyes, you know, kind of transition. Or there'd be, like, whenever he was in the asylum, which I was really liking, he's seeing visions of Hugo Weaving in front of the stars, and there's like a clock going over him or something. Yeah. I'm like, why is this even here? You looked
down at your phone and missed something that I thought was funny during that. You looked down at your phone and it was like, you know how there was like that statue of his mom laying on top of the casket?
Yeah.
She like the statue comes to life and looks at him and starts talking and says like something like, "I know you see me, Lawrence."
I heard it. I didn't see it.
Yeah. You looked down at your phone for a second and I was like, "Oh, he missed it." I should have backed it up.
That reminds me of the spooky episode of Zack and Cody where the lady in the painting like moves her head for a second and goes. It's like a shitty version of Sinister.
Yeah. Oh man. Anything else for you in the bad?
Probably.
That's fair. He's like, I might just give this a break.
I'm just trying to figure out how I feel about it, because, like, especially when you're in that second or third act, you're like, why was I complaining? Because you forget.
Yeah.
But now that we don't have a distraction, like, there's some pretty bad stuff in that movie, honestly. Some of the dialogue, I know we kind of touched on it with the mom thing. Some of it was just wildly weird.
Yeah.
Some of it was just unnecessary. Like, at one point, Anthony Hopkins over-explains the fuck out of the... Like, I love the conversation, the original one with his dad, where he's talking about the battle of a man's soul and whatever. And then at one point, Anthony Hopkins just goes way too long with that. There's some weird clothing stuff that made me laugh, like his glasses, Anthony Hopkins' glasses and whatever.
That was hilarious.
There's, like, a couple weird hats, especially Benicio del Toro in that funeral scene. Yeah. Just like some of the costuming, I was like, I'm not.
You said when he put those glasses on, you're like, it looks like he's about to be roller derbying. The whole time I thought he was just going to go pod racing with Anakin.
Yeah. I see that, yeah.
I'm like, are we watching Phantom Menace or Wolfman?
And then to counteract makeup, obviously great makeup with the Wolfman stuff and whatever. I'm still going to leave that in the good, but I'm going to, a single piece of that, tiny piece, I'm going to have to bring down. Anthony Hopkins at one point.
Oh, no.
Dude, when he had his hair slicked back, and he has like a ponytail thing or whatever, and he's got like a bunch of makeup on.
Some mascara or something, yeah.
Why? Why? And then he's also, and that's the scene where it looked like he was trying to seduce Gwen, because he was like, "Why did you send Gwen away?"
Yeah.
Why he's looking like that? Like, you look like a creep.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. So there's some weird stuff in it.
There is.
But
There's some choices. There's some choices that were made.
Yeah, absolutely. There were choices that were made. At least there were choices that were. I would take something like this, because other than the first act, I never got uninterested, even if it was bad.
Yeah.
It was interesting and bad.
Yeah.
I will take interesting and bad over uninteresting. And a lesser director, or like working for a lesser studio, would have just went like, you have to do it like this, this, and this, and it just looks bland as shit.
Yeah.
At least it wasn't bland.
Yeah. So we'll hop over to our final thoughts and ratings then. What do you want to leave off with 2010 Wolfman? Give it out of 10. I'm interested to hear your score.
I mean, look, if you're into monster movies and universal creatures and whatever, I think it's worth a watch for sure.
It's definitely a relevant werewolf movie, especially once it gets to the werewolf stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you're looking for good werewolf content, there's some good stuff out there, whatever. I think this is definitely one of the better ones.
And if you're looking for the werewolf stuff, I would probably go off to say the unrated version is probably for you.
Yeah, I would absolutely. Yeah,
it sounds like a lot of the added stuff was to make those scenes better.
Yeah, and those scenes were really
good.
Those scenes were so good, it was worth the fucking first 40 minutes of endurance sprinting I had to do.
Yeah.
So I think all in all, it's worth it if you like that kind of thing. But this it's a mess in pacing and some directing. I mean, just some choices again are like, I'll take a Vision any day, but doesn't mean your Vision's always going to be good.
If you start this movie where he meets the gypsy, you might think this is pretty great.
That's what I was gonna. That's what I was gonna say earlier in the review. You easily could have started it like during the funeral of the brother or whatever.
Yeah.
Cut all that other shit out.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of that beginning shit didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
We don't. Him being a theater actor, what did that do for you? The whole movie.
I think later in the movie there was one spot where when he got bit, the guy was like, "I hope this doesn't keep you off stage." Yeah. I think that's the only payoff that they even see that scene.
And even then, that's nothing.
Yeah,
that could have easily been like, "God, I hope you don't die."
Yeah,
same equivalency.
Yeah.
So anyway, messy, fun, good time. Watch it with a friend. That's okay. Laughing at first and then locking in later.
Watch it with a dog.
Watch it with a dog.
Norman was locked in.
Yeah, until there's too much howling and barking. And
yeah.
But all in all, I'm going to leave this one at a 5.5.
5.5. Okay.
Out of 10.
We're not too far off from each other. So we were, I said we might be in the same ballpark for this whole week, and we're continuing that trend. I'm going to go 6 out of 10. So just a peg above you. I thought this was decent. I definitely went in with lower expectations, so I think that might have helped.
Absolutely. When I log it, it will be a 6 out of 10 for rounding up reasons, and I do feel closer to a 6 out of 10 than a 5.
This movie it compares very heavily to one of my 2024 hot takes, and honestly, it's a 2024 hot take in the world, but within our friend group, we all kind of felt the same way, and that's about the Crow remake.
Yeah.
You take away that first act, you're getting just a fun Crow movie.
A pretty good Crow movie.
You take away the first act here, you're just getting a really fun werewolf movie.
Absolutely.
So I can't give it because the 7 out of 10 is when you start talking about a good movie. I can't give it a 7 just because when you're talking about the first 40 movies first 40 minutes all being in the bad, it's kind of hard to say it's a good movie.
Yeah, 6 out of 7 is a bit better than average. 7 out of 10 is like, we're in the like.
We're starting to get into the solid good movie range.
It's at the point where you can be like, oh, you didn't like that.
Yeah.
Okay. That right. 6 out of 10, I'm like, you didn't like that? Deserved.
6 out of 10 is where I like to put a lot of the movies where I was like, it definitely wasn't good, but it was fun.
Exactly. Like 33%. I don't think it deserved 33%, but I also can't imagine asking 100 people, and if 33 of them said they liked it and the rest said they didn't, I'd be like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
You probably.
Yeah, that's fair. But I'm cool with sitting at a 6 out of 10. I think this is it's just a decent werewolf movie. I agree with what you said.
Against a rewatch someday.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what you said though, in the sense that if you like monsters and you like werewolves, starting it at even the end of the funeral, or even when he meets a gypsy. I mean, watch the whole movie, obviously, just because you might like the first act, but.
Sure.
once you get into the werewolf stuff, if you're a werewolf fan, you can have a really fun time with this.
Absolutely.
I mean, it definitely takes, like I said, that look and builds on it a little bit and transformation-wise from 1941. So I have a good time with it just because I like to look at the werewolf. The unrated version was cool too because you get some cool kills. I don't think any of the kill and gore and blood was any of the bad effects we were talking about. I think a lot of that looks decent.
It's for fans of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like Zack Snyder's Justice League. I love it. Would I tell an average person to watch that? Fuck no.
Yeah.
It's 4 hours.
Yeah. So definitely can have fun with this movie though.
Absolutely.
I went on to say I enjoyed it by the end of it, honestly.
I definitely enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll do it for the Wolfman 2010, Kory. Thank you for coming on, my friend. Thank you all for watching. If you like what you're watching, check out some of these other videos. Check out the other reviews we've done so far this week. We did Invisible Man from 2020. We did The Wolfman from 1941. And coming next will be Wolfman 2025 from, once again, Lee Wanell, as we get ready to see that this week. But again, thank you guys for watching, and we will talk to you all soon.